Linco Diesel Performance and LDP machine here to demonstrate how to install the freeze plugs, oil galley plugs, and cam bearing on a Cummins engine block using our Cummins bearing and plug driver kit. So we're going to go through, and we're not going to do them all. We're going to hit one of each one, show you how to do them. So this kit is our part number LDP 10801. It's available on our website. It comes with a complete kit of tools. The freeze plug you see here, this is for a 6.7 that we're working on tonight. So we actually have a kit that we put together for 6.7 blocks, and we offer kits for all your Cummins. Some of them we private label, some of them are other people's, but we had not found an affordable kit for 6.7, so we put one together. So I'm going to start off first with the larger plugs. You got 5 plugs on any of your Cummins, the front, the back, and then 3 on the sides. So in order to do your 5 big plugs, there is 2 different drivers. So you'll see the difference is the height of the shoulders. So each one of these 4 sides is going to install at a different depth. And if you'll notice, with all of our drivers, they have 2 shoulders. So the first shoulder engages in the cup of the plug. The second shoulder catches the outside diameter of the plug, and then the depth of the shoulder is what sets the installed depth of the plug, which is why our toolkit is nice. It installs every plug in the block at the correct depth every time. That's the whole reason that we come up with this. So the first one that we are going to do is we're going to do a side plug. So this driver here, with the 2 larger shoulders as opposed to the 2 smaller shoulders, this will do the side plugs on any of your Cummins. So the side here with the large shoulder, this is for 02 and older, so 12 valve and 24 valve. This does all 3 of your side plugs. And then the side with the smaller shoulder does all your 03 and up. So all your common L5, 9, and 6.7, the side will use this one. So this one driver does the sides. So this is a common rail 6.7 block, so we're going to use the plug with the more shallow shoulder. So you can see it engages on there, and it contacts that shoulder, and that's what stops it. And then the disc will bottom out the block to set the depth. So no matter which one you're doing, you're going to use our driver handle, which if you notice, it's knurled, get a nice grip. It's got a chamfer on the end, so keep it from flaking and rolling over. And it's also got an O-ring to help hold the discs on so it doesn't fall off. Alright, so as you can see, we've already installed a couple of our big side ones along with the rear. We use Loctite 620 retaining compound. It's a high temperature, holds them in, they won't blow out, and seals them too. So put a thin bead on the leading edge. And again, this is our practice. You do what you want. If you have something that you like that's worked good for you, do whatever. These big ones here always take a bit to get all the sealing on them. And again, you put it on the leading edge. There's no point in getting it on the heel of the plug. It's just going to roll right out. So getting on the leading edge. Brass hammer is highly recommended. You'll destroy the handle over time, and it's good safe practice. So we get it up there, lightly tap it to get it to where it's going straight. You heard it there, seated good, installed. So with that, we're going to roll into our front plug. On this driver here, you've got one shoulder, it's only 15 thousandths. It's just enough to ensure that it's beyond flush. And then this one here, I believe we cut it at 60. So depending on the year of your block, the rear, you can use the deeper shoulder here. But if you don't have enough material in the block, you can go ahead and use the 15 thousandths one. So we're going to use that. I use that on the front of all of them, and the reason we do that, we want to make sure that it's not sticking out, because if you put sealant, it could dry if it's crooked, and then when you bolt it on your fan hub, it would break the sealant when it knocked it in. So that's why we put that shoulder just enough to make sure it's beyond flush. So get our Loctite on there. Okay, got our Loctite on, so front plug. And there we go. We are just beyond flush, so we know it's good. So next, we're going to do our turbo drain block off. So this disc here will fit the 3 for the side here, and then it also works on the turbo drain block off. So the turbo drain block off plug will only fit on one shoulder. Same with these. So easy to tell. So same thing. I'm going to put our Loctite. And that's great. Sometimes you'll have that. Alright, so this one here, get her down there. There we go. Seen it jump, you heard it, so it's all the way down in there. Okay, now for the oil galley plugs. So with our kit, you have 2 drivers that are very similar. They're the same OD. They both fit the 4 oil galley plugs. So if you notice, the one is shorter. We did that for a reason. It was actually an accident, but it worked out good. By making this one shorter, it's more identifiable. There is not much difference in the depths of the shoulders. You can see it there when you stack them up. So the shorter one is used for the side plug here on your common rail blocks, and then the longer 1 inch is used for all of your oil galley plugs. So we're going to do the front oil galley plug to demonstrate that for you. And the rear will be the exact same driver. So we're just going to show the front one here. And these are ones you definitely want to take your time and make sure you got your sealant in place. Now if you notice what I'm doing is I'm just rolling in with the driver. That way it holds the plug for me. Alright, and there we go. Installed to the right depth. You don't have to worry about blocking off your oil passage by getting in too deep. The way we've engineered these, and it's in, plenty beyond the bevel, so you got good contact. Something I do want to say, I would recommend if you're using any type of sealant at all, as soon as you're done with all the plugs for that particular driver or with the whole set, wipe it off. Otherwise you'll be using a pick and scraping it out next time. So that's something we've learned over the years. So now we will roll into this one here, which again, we're using the shorter one. So if you look at the height difference, we're going to use that shorter one. Go. So just a side note, these blocks are not machined in this area, they're cast. So you want to be careful, you don't want to go wailing on it because they're usually not very true. Like this particular block right over here, I can tell it's taller than over here. And this comes up and it tapers, so it's going to be, thin. You'll tear the tool up if you sit there and pound on it because you're not driving into a machined surface like on the front, back, and side. So just on this one here, I sat there and watched it, drove it down. You can tell when it's installed all the way, and I stopped. So now we're going to go ahead and, let's go ahead and do our cam bearing. So The kit comes with a cam bearing remover and the installer. So just a little tip, whenever we're doing cam bearings, if you come over here, you'll see I went ahead and marked my oil passage hole, and I put 2 marks. Do the same thing on the bearing, and then I put the single line here to line up with that. So some people will put Loctite on the cam bearings too. This particular block, we shouldn't need it, so we're going to do without it. Oh, and then also I want to, a side note, in the machine shop, it's not normal practice for us to drive cam bearings in. A lot of people do, we don't. What we prefer to do, you'll see over here in the wall, we've got several threaded rods. But in particular, we have the Acme thread rod, and we have a bearing, and we have aluminum discs that we made up for pretty much every application. We've got a whole wall over there full of them, and that's what we typically do, is pull them in. But so to demonstrate the tool, we're going to drive it in, and then we're not knocking our tool at all. But with the through hole, you can use a threaded rod with this, so it works either way. You can drive it in with the hammer if you're comfortable with it, or you can use the threaded rod. If you're going to use the threaded rod, ideally you would go all the way through the block with it, and have just a washer on the back or a piece of plate with a hole in it, and you can pull it in. But so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just when you're doing multiple bearings, we prefer to pull them in. So I'm going to line up my marks to make sure that our oil hole is centered, and then therefore my top mark is good. And the reason I did the top mark, it's hard to watch down here when you're standing up, so that's why we do that. So the key thing with cam bearing, nice and straight. There we go. So it's in about 20 thousandths beyond flush. There's our oil hole, looking good. So now we'll move on over here to our side plugs. So this driver here, we'll do this plug and this one. So first off, we'll do the crankcase plug down here. So again, it only fits one of them. Go. So we're going to flip this disc over. So again, I always like to wipe off any sealant. It saves you the next time you're using it. So put them up wet and you'll be fighting it next time. So now we move on to the smaller side plugs. And one of the coolest features of the tool is the end of the driver handle is got a shoulder in it for the little 3/8 cup plugs to block off the dipstick tube hole. So depending on what your block, some of them use the cup plug with the shoulder on them. We have them too, the OEM style. But most of your kits you're going to buy are going to come with a 3/8 cup plug, and that's what the older blocks use. So that's what we designed this for. If you've ever done them, you probably fought them. So this thing, it's pretty slick. Alright. And again with this, you can kind of roll it in there. Go. So we already installed this one. So now we've done one of every plug. The rear, I did that off camera, same as the front. And then we've got our two rear oil galley holes. So that is every single one of them. You know, if you got a 12 valve block or an encore block, you don't have as many plugs to do, but it still uses the same kit, and it will still, this kit will do every plug. So wanted to demonstrate the cam bearing remover. So we're going to go ahead and run into the back. We got a 5-9 common rail we just tore down today, getting ready to start on a build. So come on, we're going to run back there and knock it out real quick. You can see our workload. We got a ton of Duramax and Cummins builds going on, a bunch of cylinder heads. 6.0s, 6.4s. Yeah, you got some gas. We got some high performance Mustang heads there. So this will be the same for any year. Get the shoulder to lock it in. And there we go. Bam, just like that. So this is part number LDP 10801. It's on our website, LincoDieselPerformance.com. We'll be getting the freeze plug kits on there as well. So jump on over, check it out, and also don't forget our Cummins front main cylinder installer tool. So thanks.